Shalom. First off, I want to start off by giving all the glory, infinite praise, and honor unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rahakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace, love, and salutation to you, hopeful elect that is out there pushing this truth in all sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth, giving diligence to make your calling of election sure. Shalom. This is your brother Hashal from the Great Millstone Savannah Camp, coming back in the spirit with another lesson. Lord willing, I pray and hope that is edifying and exhorting. All right, and as you can see, all right, this article from NBC News, it says FEMA to send states 680 million to build migrant detention centers. Okay, and this is from July 25th, right, which today is this is a month later. All right, it says the Federal Emergency Management Agency is preparing to send 608 million to states to construct immigrant detention centers as of the Trump administration, as part of the Trump's administration's push to expand capacity to hold migrants. All right. And my question is, I thought they were just deporting the migrants. And so now we're uh holding them. Okay. I thought the whole the whole MO was to get them out of the country. All right, but I was just watching one of the a podcast on Instagram. He pointed something out, is that because of the surveillance, all right, because of all the cameras that are around, it's harder to do crime. All right, and this country was built off, and this country thrives off free labor. Okay, and a lot of people, they look at these different migrant centers, all right, and they just think that they're just sitting in a cage in a cell all day. No, you have companies that are investing in these centers as well. Okay, Alligator, Alcatraz, in the picture. Okay, but they're working. All right, they're in these so-called migrant centers working, which this is just nothing more than a concentration camp. Okay, and that, like I say, this country thrives off free labor. All right, and it's been done in the past. All right, with the so-called Asians. All right, in their concentration camps. Okay, you had historically something called the Devil's Punch Bowl. So this hey, this country, this is nothing new. All right, and basically the prison industrial complex, all right, is starting to falter, right? The amount of people they're locking up is starting to falter, even though, uh, according to Mr. DJ Trump, crime is rampant in these cities. Well, that happens to not be the case. All right, even though there is a lot of crime, all right, there is a lot of shootings and violence taking place, all right, but it's less than it has been in the future, in past Salakia. Um, just because of how many cameras are around, it's harder to do crime, man. There's a camera on every street, on every street corner, on every house, all right. And what's being publicized is crime, all right, and every crime that's happening is being caught on camera, all right, which makes it seem to have to be a problem, all right. um so I wanted to get Jeremiah 30 and 6. It says, ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail a child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for the day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. All right, and we're living in that time. We're living in a time where there's an attack on you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. All right, they are now threatening the birthright citizenship of Native Americans. Okay, and that's being brought into question. Okay, because we told you, the Bible told you, but the prophets of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, the ones that have been proclaiming Jacob's trouble, okay, that there will be a time like never before seen in the earth. All right, and so much so, right? Daniel, matter of fact, let's get it. Daniel, the 12th chapter, in the first verse, it says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the because when you go into this word Michael, it goes into uh, Micah Allah, all right, which is I believe it's something all power. So I had to look it up. It says the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. So Michael, the archangel, is gonna have to intervene. Okay, it's gonna get so bad out here. It says, and there shall be a time of trouble. This is the same trouble as Jacob's trouble, all right, but just a broader stroke, meaning everyone's gonna be in trouble, all right. But specifically, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, all right, especially here in America, all right, and those spread out abroad, it's gonna be time of trouble for you too. Really, this is coming upon the whole earth, okay, because what these camps are doing is leading you to the MOTB, all right, that squeeze. And if you refuse, you're gonna find yourself in one of these camps, in one of these concentration camps. All right. It says was uh such as never was since there was a nation, even to the same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. All right. And we've been, like I said, we've been warning you that these things were coming. All right. It says FEMA is starting a detention support grant program. Now here it is. They're taking away, your Medicaid, food stamps. Um, the cost of living is high, right? Taxes are basically going up for the middle class. Okay, this is basically what pays the bankers, right? But they have money to fund these detention centers, right? It says to cover the cost of states building temporary, which they're not temporary, okay? Um, they're just cheaply made so they can say, so they can put that temporary, they're Salaki the other way around, right? They put the temporary on there so they can, cheaply make them, right? They don't have to, add conditioned air as, these things are seen as delicacies in these detention centers, and that alligator Alcatraz end up flooding. All right, it says according to the agency announcement, states have until August 8th to apply for funds. According to the Post, it says the Trump administration has been encouraging states to build their own facilities to detain migrants. This program provides a way for the administration to help states for it. All right, and Esau is tapping back into that old serpent, that old devil that he is, man. Okay, coming down with great wrath. All right, you had matter of fact, I want to try to get it. Let me see if I can find it. Trump saying that we can't have Venezuela. Um, let's see, Trump on Venezuela. All right, and I just want to find the short where he said we can't have that. Where is that?
We have Venezuela acting up in a different way. They continue to send people that we rebuff to our border. They continue to send drugs into our country. Venezuela, they've been very nasty, and we can't let that happen. But we have other countries too. We do have, and this is just getting a little off subject, but we have now the safest border we've ever had. We have Venezuela acting up in a different.
Hey, just speaking like basically like a teacher, like these people speak
We have
wickedly. All
Venezuela
right.
acting.
The scripture speaks about how they are proud. All right. And all he's basically acting, like the Roman government of old. All right, spreading out his military. He's sending people here, sending people there, which is beautiful. It's all a part of prophecy. The scripture said that he would spread himself out as a green bay tree. Okay, but just to get back on topic. All right, Esau Edom is tapping back into that old serpent, that old devil way. All right, in which he is gonna bring down holy hell, man. Okay, primarily upon you Israelites, man. All right, and I keep bringing this out. And you know what? It may seem redundant, but it's true. All right, Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the world, of the earth, and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. Okay, um, and Esau Edom knows that he has a short time to rule on the planet Earth. Matter of fact, hold on, Salakia. All right, he knows that he has a short time to rule on the Earth. All right, so he has to come down. All right, he has to deploy his troops. That's why Trump is deploying these different troops to 19 cities. Matter of fact, let's get that. Uh, it says up to 1,700 National Guard troops mobilizing across the United States in immigration crackdown. Okay, and basically he's enacting martial law. All right, it says documents reviewed by Fox News show deployments are subject in Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Wyoming. Okay, uh, and we could be looking at these National Guard members, which when you see the videos of how they are picking up these immigrants, all right, they don't really have any identification. They just have bulletproof vests. A lot of them are masked up. All right, they have AR-15s. Okay, which these could be malicious. All right, these could be um, Blackwater or BlackRock. What do they call them? Mercenaries. All right, that are coming. And snatching these people up. It could be anyone.
Okay, if someone wanted to, they could just buy a buy a badge off Amazon, all right, attach it to a bulletproof vest, and just go around kidnapping people. But all right, nevertheless, this is the time that we warned you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans about, man. All right, we warned you that it was gonna get bad. All right, that these things were gonna come upon the earth. All right, and now that we're in these times, all right, Jake is radio silent. All right, no one wants to talk about this. All right, they don't want to talk about how the Hebrew Israelites, which they're trying to demonize us, and point out all the all the things they don't agree with, but they can't disagree that we were right. All right, they don't want to point out the fact that we have been warning about these things, and now they're here. Now they're coming to pass. All the ones that called us crazy. Okay, they called us radical and the black Hebrew Israelites. You know, oh well, now what? Now that these things are here, who has been preparing for it? Who has been basically preparing their minds for the times that are to come? You know, and you'll find you're gonna find that only the Hebrew Israelites, man, and primarily those of Great Millstone, because a lot of these other camps denied that there will be a time of trouble. They denied Jacob's trouble. All right, and their leaders are gonna have to answer for that, man. All right, because we're in those times, man, where people are gonna be looking for answers. Okay, and you're gonna have to give an answer, right? And they're about to come down and lock down these cities, man. Let's get it. Just on it. Desire. Second Esdras. They're really funny about the books of Esdras in this version. Have um, Second Esdras 15, and I'm gonna start at 14. Verse 14, it says, "Woe unto the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands." All right, and it's getting to a point where it's the pot, it will eventually boil over. All right, people are sick and tired. All right, you have the living condition getting worse and worse in America. Right, meanwhile they're offering these ICE agents a $50,000 signing bonus. All right, and forgiving their student loans. All right, and this is something that you know the average American Edomite or the average American Jake has been begging for. They've been begging to have the student loan debt forgiven, right? And Trump even rolled that back from what Joe Biden was doing, right? Um, so they're basically taking your plate and giving it to these freelance I'm gonna call them mercenaries because you gotta be merciless to basically rip people away from their families, all right, and throw them into detention centers. That's something that's and you got some jakes, they're gonna fall for it. They're gonna go out and do that, right? But eventually, um, these different Americans, man, they gonna grow a heart, all right. Verse 16 it says, "For there shall be sedition among men," right? Sedition meaning an uproar, an uprising, right? A dividing. it says, in invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And you have now Trump talking about going into these different cities and arresting governors, okay, and throwing governors into prison. So we're in that time, man. All right. It says a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Total lockdowns, man. Total martial law. There's gonna be checkpoints, right? They already said they want to do what, 15-minute cities. Okay. So this is not something that's far fetched. Let's get it. Um, 15minutecities.com, right? Right, where they want to have these different. Matter of fact, let's look at the mission statement about. All right. It says everyone living in a city should have access to essential urban services within a 15-minute walk or bike. The 15-minute city project is designed to help access focused urban transformation be what we need to them to be: ambitious, inclusive, measurable, effectively implemented. Right? Matter of fact, let's see. See, this is what they want. They want a city limit to where you can move inside, right, and have everything you need within a 15-minute walk or bike ride. Okay. And as Klaus Schwab said, you will own nothing and be happy. Right. A 15-minute city is an urban planning concept where a resident can access daily amenities like shops, parks, schools within a 15-minute walk or bike ride from their homes, promoting sustainable living, reducing traffic and emissions. Of course, everything is under the guise of emissions. Okay. And when Trump was running for president, right, he was basically talking about how he was going to do away with electric cars. Just different talking points, and nothing has truly changed. All right, he has, you know, he basically bamboozled you MAGA voters, you Edomites, you Bible Belt thumpers. He bamboozled you, man. All right. It says an increasing equity, which is false. All right. When they talk about equity, they mean them enjoying the earth and you staying in your 15-minute block, man. Okay. It says developed by Carlos Minor Morno. The the idea focuses on a mixed-use development on improved walkability to create vibrant, connected, and livable communities. While the concept is praised for its potential benefit, it has also become the subject of misinformation and conspiracy theories, despite official statements that it aims to provide more choices. Alright, let's look at some of the conspiracies then, right? Um, it says Paris. It says online conspiracy theories falsely claim that 15-minute cities are designed to restrict people's movement, control population, and limit freedoms. Alright, now we're sure that the U.S. government wants to do the opposite, just the opposite of that, right? Um, the word government goes into control, right? To govern, control, and then meant to uh, the mind, right? Mente, going back to the Greek word mente, I believe, all right? Governments and proponents clarify that the goal is to provide more local options and choices, not confine residents, right? Let's see what cities this is in. Like cities like Portland, Oregon, and Minneapolis as well as Canterbury and Birmingham in UK, have incorporated elements of the 15-minute city concept into their planning, right? So, and I believe there were a couple more cities in America um, that wanted to implement this concept. So, this is what it's all leading to. It's all leading to the M0TB. You're not going to be able to move outside of these cities unless you have the C-hip, right? The M0TB, the mark of the beast, man, right? Um, and we know, man, we know that persecution is coming, man. All right. Revelation 2 and 9, it says, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. I know the blasphemy of them that say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan, speaking to certain wicked Israelites, right? Who are, basically of their father, the devil, man. All right. They call themselves Jews outwardly, all right, but are doing, the opposite. It says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prisons, that ye may be tried, right? And we see, different things going on. YouTube, Slovakia, a lot of articles, too many articles, right? YouTube is basically able to edit people's videos, right? The family of the word is here. It's coming. It's coming. All right. They're secretly using AI to edit people's videos without their knowledge or consent. All right. So get this word while you can. All right. We've been, harping on that as well in these latter days, man. That hey, there's gonna be a famine. All right. But those that are preaching the gospel, what? We're gonna be tried. We're gonna be thrown into prisons. It says, for the devil shall cast some of you into prisons, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Right? So the Lord said, be faithful unto death. Okay? Let's get continuing on in Second Ezra, the 15th chapter, 18th verse. It says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And man shall have no pity upon his neighbors, but shall destroy their house with the sword, and spoil their goods, and because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. So there's going to be a lack of bread. Not only is the word going to be gone, but the food too. Okay? And this is going to cause chaos in these cities. And the only way they're going to get the city back under control is through the M0TB, man. Alright? Let's get it. Right? Revelation chapter 13. Matter of fact, I gotta start up. Revelation chapter 13 and verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 10 horns, had 2 horns like a lamb, and spake as a dragon. And that's what's happening, man. That word dragon goes into a draconian, right? People, not people, but Donald Trump is basically that cruel lord, and he's passing all kinds of legislations to, bring back different punishments. All right, capital punishments that are, basically for small crimes. Oh, he just said that burning the flag is punishable for up to a year. Right, so in those 2 horns, they represent the Democrats and the Republicans, the two-party system. Right, this same system was in Rome, the plebeians, um, and the patricians. Right, and they basically used this pseudoscience right? They use the good cop, bad cop, right? The lesser of two evils to get, to beguile the people. When you go into that word MAGA, it goes into magician, right? And they basically played, they played on people's emotions, played on you people, man, right? And they made you beg for this, even though they picked it, right? They gave you the illusion of choice, right? To make it seem like, yeah, you picked this guy, right? When really it was all a trick in the beginning, right? It was all a sleight of hand. Verse 12, it says, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. And this is going into the Roman Empire, right? The deadly wound that was healed, right, is because the Roman Empire fell during around 300 AD, right? And it was rebirthed in the Renaissance period around roughly around the 15 to 1700s, right? It was coming back into power. It says, and this is where you have like the Renaissance area, the painting over pictures, right? Iconoclasm. It says that he doeth great wonders, so that he causeth fire to come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. And this happened when during these different world wars, right? Where you have the launching of missiles, you have uh, Apollo 13, these different events or wonders, right? Because the earth had never seen this before, right? The Lord gave him the technology to do these things, right? It says that he deceived them, right, through his technology, through his pseudoscience, right? Because he never went to the moon, right? But he deceives. He made the world believe uh, that he did. It says, and he deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of the miracles, right? That was a miracle, right? No one had ever been to the moon and walked on the moon, right? Which we know he didn't, but this man has done lying wonders. And the scripture speaks about it. It says, by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. And this is important, right? You won't see any Christians breaking down these scriptures, man. You won't see anybody going into the true meaning of these scriptures. Why? Because this it doesn't uphold white supremacy, right? It calls out the devil for who he is, for what he is. Okay. It says, saying to them that dwell upon the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he caused of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark, right, going into the charagma, the incision under the skin, right, which is going to be a digital, uh, a digital ID. All right, run off radio frequencies, the same way your phone is run off radio frequencies. It says to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. You have Bill Gates coming out. It's so much evidence, man, and people are not talking about it, right? Everyone except for the Hebrew Israelites, primarily those of Great Millstone. We're the ones talking about these prophecies, man, right? Or in their foreheads, right? You have the Neuralink, okay? And not only just the Neuralink, the near field communication. All right, you have China working on different technologies and implants. You have people who are already chipped up, right? People already have the mark of the beast, right? Right. So why is this not being talked about? Right. It says, "In that no man might buy or sell, save he that have the mark or the number of the beast or the number of his name." Right. And this is the key. This verse 17 goes into this system, how he's shoring it up to where you won't be able to participate, right? Unless you have the mark of the beast. You won't be able to get on the computer. You won't be able to surf the World Wide Web. You won't be able to buy uh, products. You won't be able to sell anything on primarily on the web. He's doing away with private sales, man. Right? You'll have to have the CBDCs. Right? All these things are being led. Uh, you know, are the basically the path, the groundworks to the mark of the beast. It says, "Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, right? And his number is 603 score and six, going into the chi psi stigma, right? Um, which is basically these marks, man. These different um, technology or radio frequency identification chips. All right, and so we know that the squeeze is coming, man. We know that the devil knows that he have a short time to rule. All right, and so when you look around and you see different draconian laws being passed, you see martial law, you see these troops. All this is biblical prophecy, man. All right, and this should be a clear indicator and a sign, right, that the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is on the way. All right, and that it's time to come out of her, my people. All right, and be not partakers of their sins, right? Because contrary to popular belief, and this is not medical information, this is simply a statement of news, right? Taking the M0TB, taking the mark of the beast is a sin, right? It is, which if you read Revelation the 14th chapter, it says if you do partake in the Squid Games, right? Then you are gonna also drink the wrath of the cup of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Is gonna be poured out without mixture, right? Meaning you're gonna take place, all right, in the second death. So, these things are pertinent. It's pertinent for you to know, right? So I just wanted to do this lesson, hey, Lord willing, it was edifying and exhorting. I want to end off by giving all the glory, infinite praise, and honor unto, you know, uh, and I, Salaki. Let me say this too. Let's get that Revelation, the 10th chapter. Matter of fact, Revelation 3 and 10, right? Because man, only the faith of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is gonna get you through these times, man. All right. A lot of people think they're just gonna be able to say no. Well, that's not true. You're not gonna be able to just say no, right? Uh, you're gonna have to have your faith rooted in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, right? Revelation 3 and 10, it says, "Because thou hast kept the word of my patience," right? Meaning, hey, you're gonna have to stand on the things that you learn, the things that you put your faith in, man. All right. If you believe that the M0TB is not the RFID chip, right? That is not these different technology implants, technological implants that are being, embedded in people, then you're gonna have to stand on that, man. All right. When the temptation comes, it says, "I also will keep them from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world." Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter if you move to Thailand, if you move to Colombia, all right. If you move to a remote island, guess what? You're not gonna be able to participate in the world economy, which this is all being tied into a one world economy, right? One world government, one world religion, right? All this is gonna be, the new Tower of Babel, right? It says to try them which dwell upon the earth. Okay. Behold, I come quickly. Hold fast that which hold fast, hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown, man. So, hey, hold on, man. All right. Yahweh Shemi Shai is working a mighty work, and he defeated death 2,000, 25 years ago, or whatever. Um, you know, you know, so we don't have anything to fear. We don't have, we don't fear death, man. Our Lord defeated death, and he said what? That we're gonna overcome. All right, through Him we are more than conquerors. So, I just wanted to, do this quick lesson. Lord willing, it was edifying, exhorting, not quick, but long-winded a little bit, but Lord willing, it was edifying. I want to end off by giving all the glory, infinite praise, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and do rule well. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom.